A lot of people ask about check side. I'm going to show you today what it is, but it might not be what you think it is. Baby! So what is check side? Check side is when you're going to play with side spin that is going to basically either slow the cue ball down or change the direction of the cue ball once it hits a cushion and sort of going back against the natural path of the cue ball. That's why it's called check side. So I've actually just checked and only 20% of you who watch the videos actually subscribe to the channel. So I'd really appreciate if you could just go over and press that subscribe button. It just really helps us obviously support the channel and keep bringing this content to you as much as we can. I really appreciate all the support so far and all the comments, and I'm getting some really good feedback from the videos and different ideas we're trying to come up with. But like I say, there's only 1 in 5 of you doing it, so go over. It doesn't cost anything, and if you do subscribe, you're not going to miss out on any future videos. So I'm going to give you quite a few different examples today of how you can maybe start using check side in your positional play. That can really help you out and keep the white ball tight under control. So quite a common shot I've got here is a red in the corner pocket. So I'm going to come off the cushion, and obviously I want to try and stay on the black. So if I don't put any side on this shot, just to give you an example, just going to try and hit middle of the ball and come off the cushion. You can see the cue ball there is come up quite high off the cushion. So I'd maybe have the pink in the middle, but I wouldn't be very good on the black. So what we can do there is, on this shot here, I'm cutting the red to the right. So a bit of right spin is basically going to be check side. And that's going to, once the cue ball hits that cushion, it's going to change the line of the cue ball so it stays a lot straighter towards the black, and also it's going to slow it down a bit. So I'll just do one of them for you just to show you the result. So again, just sort of middling height, but a bit of right spin. And you can see there it's come off the cushion and the cue ball's totally changed direction. So the previous one was here, and then the next one is a lot lower. So I'm a bit closer at the black. I've got a nice angle. So I've kept the cue ball a bit more under control there. So you can see on them 2 shots, I've got 2 totally different results. And that's just by the second shot with the check side, just a little bit of right hand side. One of the most common things I see when I'm coaching or see people in the club playing with side spin and check side is they're putting far too much spin on the ball, and they're putting like what we call like extreme side, and the tip's right over at the side there because they think that's how much they need to play with to get the reaction. Now some shots, yes, we might need a little bit more than others, but basically the more side you put on the cue ball, the further you go to the right on this shot here, the more chance we've got obviously of then maybe missing the shot as well. So we've got to really try and get the balance between playing with, I think, just keep the sight to a minimum, because still the number 1 rule is potting the ball to keep the break going. So snooker in practice especially, I say to people, is about experimenting and seeing how things work. So when I'm doing that shot there, like I say, I'm just putting probably at the most like a tip's width of right hand side on. I'm not putting any top spin on or bottom. It's just the ball's coming off the red at a natural line, but then the check side's changing that angle once it's hit the cushion. The other thing that a lot of people ask us about, and it's quite hard to answer, is how do you aim when you're playing with check side? Now, I've done other videos about using side spin, and there's quite a lot of different factors that go into it. So you've got the length of the shot, the power of the shot, and then also, again, like I said before, how much actual side spin you're putting on the ball is going to affect that quite a lot. So for me, but when I'm doing this shot, because it's quite short, I'm not hitting it very hard, and I'm also putting just a minimal amount of side on, my actual aiming point on this shot hasn't changed very much at all. But that's not to say that you might have to feel like you change your line a bit more than me. There's other little factors that go on. Like I've said before, I've got a titanium ferrule on my cue, which definitely has less deflection once I've struck that cue ball. So basically, when I'm lined up to this shot, I'm changing it a fraction, but I'm aiming very much at the normal angle on this ball, because I know with that little bit of right that I'm putting on, it's not going to deflect massively because I'm not hitting it hard. Also, like I say, the titanium ferrule is helping us a little bit. I've tried this shot, funny enough, like in some lessons with people's cues, and they've got a brass ferrule on, and it does react quite a bit differently. So you're going to have to, it's a bit of trial and error. So, like I say, the pace I'm playing it at, I feel like the cue ball isn't really changing its path very much at all. You can see there, it's still, I'm still putting enough on to make that really react and change the line once it's come off the cushion. So a lot of this is down to, you know, a little bit of trial and error. But I think if you're wanting to start introducing check side and experimenting in your game, this is a great little shot to try, because obviously you're around an important area around the black spot. So holding position for the black is obviously very important. So just maybe isolating this shot and just do it over and over again quite a few times. Do both sides of the table as well. So obviously here I'm playing with right spin. Obviously the other side would be a little bit of left spin. And more practice, basically, your confidence will get better and you'll feel comfortable playing them shots. So another really good example of how you can start playing with check side is this kind of shot here. So we're firing just a similar short shot into the corner pocket, and we've got a bit of an angle here on the red where the cue ball is definitely going to obviously contact the cushion. But again, I'll give you an idea. If I don't play this shot with any side, I'm potting it and I've come off the cushion, and the natural line of the cue ball is to start going towards that side cushion. So then the next shot on the black is going to be a lot more difficult. So what you can do now is, because we're now cutting this ball to the left, this time though, the check side is going to be right hand side as well. So it's going to hit the cushion and come up a lot straighter and hopefully stay close at the black. So it makes the black a bit easier, but also it makes just maybe the positional shot from the black easier as well. So again, just close to centre ball, but right hand side. You can see there, it's basically come off the cushion pretty much dead straight, and also it's just slowed it down a little bit as well. That's something else that when you start practicing with check side, you'll start noticing that it'll slightly, most of the time, it's going to slightly slow the white down as well. So the more you practice these and get used to it, you'll start realizing, right, I'm going to maybe, if I'm playing with check side, I'm going to just maybe play that shot a little bit firmer to allow for the side spin to take effect as well. So we've got this similar shot again, and some of you might be thinking, why don't we just play this shot with maybe a little bit of stun below centre? And to be dead honest with you, you can play that shot. But the problem is, when we do play below centre, I'm just gonna try and play one here, see if I can play it quite well. All right, so I've played that quite well. But the problem is basically when you're playing off this, when you're playing off the red here, and you play with stun, you're changing the line from the object ball to this cushion. So obviously if we start putting a bit of stun on that ball, the problem is it's going to start coming back and then going sometimes towards the black, and your margin for error becomes smaller. So I think sometimes with the stun shot there, it actually can be harder to judge, the right amount of stun on that shot. Whereas when I'm playing it with just the side spin, what I'm doing is the cue ball's just hitting the cushion more in its natural place, and then the check side changes the line after it's hit the cushion, as opposed to before, your stun is changing that first line coming back over, and it can be start getting, as you seen mine there, I started getting quite close to the black, and it's a bit dangerous. So you can, you know, your margin for error is too small. So obviously again today I'm just giving you a few examples where you can start playing with check side, and I think it's important to keep the shot fairly basic to start off with, till you start really feeling, you know, where you've got to aim on the ball, and you're still potting the ball fairly regular, and you're starting to see a bit of a reaction. So coming back to the shot I've just done before, where the last one, the red was a bit closer to me here, so I don't think we need to put the stun on the ball, because it's like halfway between the black and the cushion. So I'm sort of reading where the red is, obviously, to what I need to do here. So now the red is close at the pocket. Now I can do a little bit of stun and a little bit of right hand side, because I want to start bringing the white back a little bit closer at the black. So you've got to, again, you've got to sort of look at where you are on the table and think, well, where do I want to be? So this time I want to come slightly back towards the black. So I will go a little bit lower, a little bit of stun, trace a right. And you can see there, it started coming back towards the black. You might have noticed there again, I've hit it a little bit harder, because now I'm playing with the stun and a bit of side there to bring it back. So once you're getting a bit more confident with you playing with check side, which basically can be obviously left or right, just depending on what shot you're playing. So you're just trying to develop playing with a certain side spin, really. But today we're going to mainly look at how it's acting as check side. So we've got a blue into the middle pocket, which I've done on a few other videos. I think is a really important shot to practice. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, just a little bit of right to come off the cushion and back up for the reds, because I can't hold my cue ball. So I'm hitting close to centre, maybe just above, trace a right. So when it hits the cushion, you can see it straightened the cue ball up nice, and I'm close to the red, so I can try and keep my break going. The last thing we want there is the cue ball obviously going to the side cushion and making the red a lot harder. Go from there. So another shot you can try here is low on the blue. I'm going to try and go in out of balk between the brown and green with a bit of left side this time, bit of check side. So you're trying to get the gap once and then twice as well, which is quite hard to do. So it's, you can see there, I'm on the red in the middle, so I use that shot a bit more when if I want to keep the cue ball up this end of the table. But again, if you're going to practice this, make sure you do both sides of the table so you're getting comfortable with doing different side spin. So a good example of maybe when not to try check side could be, I'm on a high black here. Obviously you want to try and say come off the cushion and back up for the red in the same pocket. So what some people are doing, and sometimes it's unintentional as well, but some people actually try and do this shot on purpose, would be to hit sort of stun or quite low on the cue ball to come off the cushion, and then with a bit of left to sort of straighten the cue ball up there. Now the fact is, if we're lined up like every professional player in the world to do that shot, none of them would do it that way. So there's obviously a reason for it, and I've explained in other videos about how working on a better higher on the cue ball and a little bit of help inside would be a lot better. But I'll give you an example here of sometimes what I've seen and how it can sort of go a bit wrong. So a lot of people are trying to think of the stun with the left. So you can see there, I've missed the black because I'm putting check side on. I'm stunning the ball so it's deflected, and I'm not used to playing that shot at all. So it's made me miss the black. I think your percentages will stay a bit lower on the pot playing it that way, to be honest with you. And also there, I've stunned the ball too much anyway, so the check sides hasn't reacted that much either, and I'm like low on the red. So really, there's no part of that shot where playing low on the cue ball with left was benefiting that shot at all. So just briefly, if you were wanting to know how to play that shot properly, like I say, I'm a little bit higher on the cue ball and just a trace of right, so comes off a lot more natural, and you can see there I'm perfect on the red. The other thing I think that's important when you learn to play with side spin and check side as well, like we're talking about today, is there's going to be times when basically it's sort of physically impossible to play actually certain shots that you might think you can. Some people think that, like, again, extreme side is going to just really change the path of the cue ball. But what you've got to look for, and what you'll start finding out when you're practicing more and more, is it depends a lot on the direction the cue ball's traveling to the cushion. So I'm going to give you an example here. So I've got the red in the corner pocket, and a lot of people would try and come off the cushion here with loads of check sides to try and stay on the black. Now, the problem is the cue ball is starting to travel quite wide off the natural angle away from the red to the cushion. So, like I say, basically physically it's starting to become like impossible. Doesn't matter how much right spin you put on that ball, that it's going to start coming back to the black. You can do like quite a lot, obviously, with side, and you can change shots a lot, but there's definitely a point where it comes down to, say, like I say, the angles and the spin and the physics just don't work. So I'll try this just to show you. So I'm going to put extreme side on here, which again is possibly going to make us miss the red, and we'll just see where the cue ball actually goes. So loads of right hand side. So I potted the black, and you can see there it's come off the cushion, and it's definitely checked the cue ball a little bit, and like I said earlier, it's slowed it down as well. So I can't physically get back on the black there. So what you've got to do is just, you know, see what other options are available and play for the pink or the blue. So I hope that's going to help you start developing playing with check side. Like I said earlier, that could be left or right. I think it's just good to start experimenting in your practice to try and see if you can, you know, maybe control the cue ball a little bit better and stay away from side cushions and stuff, and obviously change the angle of the cue ball coming off. But you know, give it a go. It's going to take a bit of time in practice, but hopefully that's give you a good insight of when you can start trying it. Keep it simple to start off with, and you can obviously experiment with other shots from there, and also gives you an idea of, like I say, what sort of is possible and what maybe isn't. You might be able to find maybe like a slightly easier option, because at the end of the day, snooker's a very hard game that you want to keep your percentages high as possible. So hope you enjoy that. As usual, leave us a comment below, and we'll see you soon.